Okay, so these are the poems for the event honoring Dr. Mengel on July 13th, 2024. And we're going to be quite spontaneous at that event. So we think we probably won't use all of these poems, and this video will then give us the recording of the others, or for people who weren't at the event, some idea of what went on there poetry-wise. Yeah, so the first is a poem that I actually composed March 17th, 2022, and then added to on June 6th, 2024. Michael Mengel poem, strategic, logical, methodological, and adept. Strategic, logical, methodological, and adept. Michael Mengel is a beneficial Alberta intercept, exactly what we needed in times of uncertainty, and with humor like Vladimir Zelensky. Strategic, logical, methodological, pragmatic, but not radical. Michael prizes Germanic traditions, but is flexible in new conditions. Adept diagnostics ecosystem platform for translation. This $3 million grant is a sensation. Innovative collaborations benefit us for generations. I always tell people you're dead. Michael once famously to me said, we need humor like this in these dark times. Good to have it built in so we don't need mimes. Michael informs us there is a restraining order against my singing, so he won't be breaking into song when you're least expecting. And when he seems camera shy, you ask why. I'm in the witness protection program, is his reply. Judged most comedic kidney medicine leader in a recent poll. When we need comic relief, he says something droll. When he was having knee surgery the next day, well, it's been nice knowing you, he did say, but the anesthetic was quite benign, and he returned day after perfectly fine. The joke's on me yet again. It's good to have him there for the win. George Sembrowski called him our first natural leader. We needed him then, as reality did teeter. He shares my interest in Jake Demetrius multiplexing. Those colorful cell interactions are perplexing. Human interactions can be puzzling to someone. And now we face Alberta Precision Labs as a singleton. It's good to have Michael there for 2 more years, where the stability he provides can lessen our fears. Yeah, so that's that. Okay, and then many of you have heard about the idea of ending the organ shortage. It's a big deal in transplantation, the policy issue for Alberta Transplant Institute. There's this recent Wired article. The Supreme Court has handed big tech a big gift by shifting regulatory power away from government agencies into the courts. Recent Supreme Court of the U.S. rulings may be a boon for the tech industry under fire. Yeah, so this all relates to the Overton window, which is where you can find the window of acceptable policies. So that's what this poem is about. The Overton window is changing. Organs for everyone rearranging. The Overton window is changing as courts and AI do rearranging of society governance and future provenance. That, together with AI and France elections, will profoundly change predilections on how policy decisions are made and when to call a spade a spade. The reversal of the Chevron decision will make some laws subject to derision, and medicine, that most regulated of sectors, will suddenly discover fewer regulations and regulators. Meanwhile, on the end of the organ shortage homeworld, the stem cell advances needed are in animal models discovered, and thus not initially subject to regulation anyway. And then rapidly transferred to humans in a day or a week or a year. Soon enough, they will be here. With respect to bioartificial organ view, where did Harold Ott and Mike Levin disappear to? When they rearrange, we will see what hath God wrought today. Things are moving so fast it makes your head spin, but for the patient, it could be win, win, win. Yes, and then there's the Banff classification, now in its 33rd year. Michael's currently the chair of the Banff Foundation. So this poem is about intellectual freedom, open inquiry, equity, diversity, and inclusion. Intellectual freedom, open inquiry, equity, diversity, and inclusion have been Banff traditions from the beginning. Intellectual freedom, open inquiry, and EDI principles have been foundational to Banff from the beginning, incorporating diverse and contrarian views, transplant pathology, some of which proved to be ideas winning. Key figures such as Michael Mengel, Bob Colvin, Larry Hunsaker, Arthur Cohen, Peter Furness, Agnes Fogo, Alex Lupi, and Lynn Cornell have contributed to this legacy. Attendees of diverse backgrounds such as Dili Adelaide and Mohammed Al-Hag have reinforced our commitment to inclusivity. Young people attending also have responsibility for making sure there are no loose ends, so our headlong rush to the future does not into chaos descend. A dual system for change tracking, combining an online repository maintained by leaders, an oral tradition among young participants, so nothing causes system teeters. It's been a gratifying and upswing in percent of female authors in the Banff meeting reports. Since 2007, the future is female will lead Banff to heaven. Okay, so the third poem, as mentioned in my remarks in that first poem on June 6th, we have definitive data that nephrology has less articles about humor than any other medical specialty, and no one would benefit from the publication of that data. In fact, it would do harm. Hence the poem, "The Happy Culture of the Banff Transplant Pathology Meetings Comes of Age." As the Banff meetings reach their 33rd year, we revisit the 1960s adage, "Don't trust anyone over 30." To ask if some subjects are too hurdy-gurdy to be ideal for journal publication, but better as word-of-mouth occasion, to be perpetuated the dynamic living history as we continue to probe the elusive mystery of what brought them about and how to improve the head count, people doing the right thing and promoting human flourishing. It goes without saying that infinite delaying is better than publishing an article that would harm every particle of the feeling of self-worth. For professionals losing turf, we want to contribute to well-being and promote doing the right thing. Having the young and old share responsibility for institutional memory makes a lot of sense and will keep people honest along the way. Once there are enough organs for all, then nephrologists can stand tall. We can publish articles about how much well-being has improved, and everyone will be pleased and moved. The oral tradition augmented by AI becomes published literature then, and young and old alike can celebrate where they've been. A victory well won and good for everyone. Now, there were 3 students I wrote letters for medical school. They all got into the University of Calgary class, which started a few weeks ago on June 27, 2024. And gee, they would really like to be part of the party, but they're working very hard in medical school right now. And yeah, so that's what this poem's about. about supernatural poetry going back to medical school vicariously, telepathic connections with U of C class of 2027. Seriously, who imagined that entering a 3-year medical school was like entering a monastery, a convent, with many a rule, with no summer fun, and much buckling down to be done? Now, at the end of their second full week, the med students send positive vibes to this event of July 13th. If you look around carefully, maybe you can see, or imagine you can, the spirits of their vicarious frivolity looking in at you. In this event honoring Dr. Mengel, they are looking for every angle, allowing them to take part with all their heart. They would have liked to be here in person, but can still have a bit of fun in their spiritual version. And now, if asked whether there was here tonight any supernatural poetry, you can reply with confidence, yes, most certainly. And the final poem, the sixth poem, had to do with a little incident that I was involved in on June 11th, 2024. Could have been life-changing, life-ending, whatever you want to say. But it actually turned out very well because of the quick response of the EMS crew. Yeah, so the details in this poem were shared with Sarush Shojai and others involved. With the biopsy we presented at rounds on the 14th, and I'm very grateful to everybody who helped look after me during this 12-hour period that I'm describing, from basically 10:15 p.m. on the 11th to 10 a.m. on the 12th. This poem is called No Downtime on Call. Before promised biopsy report at 10 a.m. Choking on peanut butter did not change the plan. We know the fantasy cannot be real, but the ambulance came so quickly in response to our 911 call June 11th at 10:15 p.m. that we had the idea that they were just wandering around Windsor Park streets looking for someone to save. As a consequence of their quick action, I was fully awake, lying on the kitchen floor as I removed my ripped shirt and put the stretcher where I was fascinated by their educated discussion of right bundle branch block, which I never had before. I also had never been the patient in emergency before. Despite arriving on oxygen, I slept like a baby, didn't even snore, and by early morning I had 95% oxygen sats on room air and started making plans to get out of there. The emergency cardiac and pulmonary docs all agreed that I could be released by 10 a.m. for the biopsy I needed to read. I told the fellows not to look at me too closely with my unshaven face and blood from the IVs, and that the hoarseness from the breathing tube would be over by Friday conference festivities. This 12 hours of alternative realities caused me to rethink priorities. The EMS staff was amazed that at 77 I am on no meds. I'm happy to report I still am on no meds. The 23 lab tests they performed were very informative, a baseline perhaps for the next 77 years of the normative, pain-free life I have been enjoying and continued accomplishments without being annoying. Yeah, so that's it. That is the end of the poetry for the Michael Mengel event of the 13th of July, 2024. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.